So let's talk about a man whose work you interact with, well, pretty much every single day, and you probably don't even think about it. Now here's the kicker. He wasn't a doctor, but he arguably did more for modern medicine than almost any physician in history.
I know, it sounds like a weird question, right? But seriously, what does a carton of milk have to do with saving countless lives? Well, the process that keeps that milk safe is directly tied to one of the biggest scientific revolutions ever. The answer to that question, it's the key to our entire modern understanding of health and sickness.
And right there, that's the first major twist in the story. The person who really set the stage for modern medicine, Louis Pasteur, he was a total outsider, a chemist. He saw the world through a microscope, not through the lens of anatomy.
And his journey, it doesn't begin in some fancy hospital or research lab. Nope, it starts in the vineyards of France. See, the French wine industry was in huge trouble. Their wine, their precious, valuable wine, was going bad, and nobody could figure out why. So they called in this chemist, Pasteur, to solve what was really a business problem.
You see, at the time, everyone just assumed that fermentation, the magic that turns grape juice into wine, was just a straightforward chemical reaction. But Pasteur, he actually looked closer, and what he saw, well, it changed everything. He proved that, no, it's not just chemistry, it's biological. It's driven by tiny living things, microorganisms called yeasts.
And this is where it gets really interesting. He took it one step further. He thought, okay, if these good little microbes, the yeasts, make good wine, what makes the wine go bad? And he found the answer. Other, different microbes. These invasive bacteria were the culprits making the wine turn sour. This was a radical idea. The idea that specific little creatures cause specific outcomes. This led him to challenge one of the biggest scientific ideas of the day, spontaneous generation, the belief that life, like maggots on meat, could just kind of pop into existence from nothing. His experiment to disprove this was frankly beautiful. He took these flasks with a long, curved swan neck. He'd boil broth inside to kill everything, sterilize it. Now, the crazy neck let air in, but it trapped all the dust and microbes from the air in its curve. And guess what? The broth stayed perfectly clear. For ages, nothing grew. But the second he tipped the flask, just enough for the broth to touch that trapped dust, boom, it was cloudy and teeming with life. It was brilliant proof. Life comes from other life. These little microbes are everywhere, just floating around, waiting.
And this is the pivot. This is where the whole story goes from spoiled wine to saving the world. Pasteur makes this incredible logical leap. He thinks, wait a minute, if these tiny invisible organisms can spoil wine, couldn't they also be responsible for the spoilage of the human body? Could germs be the things that cause disease?
Look, it is impossible to overstate how completely revolutionary this idea was. Before Pasteur, doctors were blaming sickness on miasmas, basically bad smells or bad air, or weird imbalances of humors in the body. It was all very vague, very mysterious. But after Pasteur, medicine had an actual target, a specific enemy for a specific disease. This was the birth of the germ theory, and it is the foundation of all modern medicine, period.
But here's the thing about Pasteur. He wasn't just an academic who was happy with a cool theory. His whole deal was about taking science and using it to fix real problems. He was ready to declare war on these invisible enemies. And just like with the wine, his first big battle was about economics. France's entire silk industry was on the verge of collapse because of a disease that was wiping out the silkworms. So Pasteur comes in, identifies the tiny little parasite causing all the trouble, and he develops a super simple way for farmers to spot healthy silkworm eggs. Just like that, he saved a whole industry.
So he's proven he can identify germs. He's proven he can stop them from spreading. What's the next logical step? Well, for Pasteur, it was something way more ambitious. He wondered, could you actually train the body to fight off these germs before they even had a chance to attack? Could he create vaccines?
His method for this was just genius. He called it attenuation. The idea is you take the actual disease-causing germ, the pathogen, and you weaken it in the lab. You basically beat it up a little bit so it's not strong enough to make you really sick. But, and this is the key, it's still recognizable to your immune system. So your body sees this weakened enemy, learns how to defeat it, and builds up its defenses. It's like training your internal army against a weak opponent before the real, powerful enemy ever shows up. He had amazing success with this method on animals, creating vaccines for things like anthrax and chicken cholera. But the real test, the ultimate challenge, was still ahead.
Could this possibly work on a human being? And not just for any disease, but against rabies, a disease that was at the time an absolutely terrifying and 100% certain death sentence. And this is where the science becomes this incredibly high-stakes human drama. A 9-year-old boy, Joseph Meister, had been horribly mauled by a rabid dog. His parents were desperate. They heard about Pasteur's work, and they brought their son to him. The problem? The vaccine had never been tried on a person. To use it was a massive, massive risk. But to not use it meant the boy was going to die, and die horribly. Pasteur had to make a choice, and he took the chance. And it worked. The boy lived. The vaccine prevented rabies from taking hold. The news exploded across the globe. This one single successful case was the ultimate proof of the germ theory and the mind-blowing potential of vaccination. It cemented Pasteur's legacy forever and literally changed the future of humanity. But that victory over rabies, that wasn't the end of the story. Oh no, it was the beginning. It was the first giant domino to fall in a chain reaction that would completely rebuild our world. And those dominoes fell fast. Because of Pasteur's work, surgeons finally understood why they needed to sterilize their tools. Boom, antiseptic surgery. His success kicked off a golden age of vaccine development for all sorts of diseases. His work laid the fundamental groundwork for antibiotics down the road. It led to the founding of the incredible Pasteur Institute, which is still a world leader in fighting infectious diseases. And yup, it all comes full circle. It led to pasteurization, the process that makes your milk safe to drink. We started there, and we end up back there.
When you really think about it, Pasteur's greatest gift wasn't just one vaccine or one discovery. It was a complete shift in how we see the world. He took this invisible, mysterious, frankly terrifying world of microbes, and he made it understandable. He showed us that disease wasn't some evil magic or bad luck. It was a biological reality that we could understand, that we could fight, and that we could even control.
And that's really the thought I want to leave you with today. The story of Pasteur is just this powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest revolutions start just by looking at an old problem in a completely new way and having the guts to explore a world that nobody else can even see yet. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the next invisible world just waiting for its Pasteur to come along?